This year is flying already through the first week of March, which means March Madness, which means we are talking college basketball. We're joined right now by the head coach of the Miami Hurricanes. 12 years overall there. He led the Canes to the NCAA tournament 5 times now, including an Elite 8 run last season. You'll recall he led George Mason to the Final Four in 06. The Canes beat Pittsburgh Saturday to earn a share of the ACC regular season title. They will be the top seed at the ACC tournament, and they're going to play their first game on Thursday. Jim Larrañaga is my guest. Jim, it is so good to have you back. How are you?
Hi, Jim. I'm doing good.
Good. So let me ask you, plenty of work and opportunity still ahead of you, starting with that ACC tournament this week. But how are you feeling about this group so far?
Well, Jim, to be honest, last summer when it all began, we had 2 transfers and 4 freshmen come in with the 7 guys we had returning, and they clicked immediately. It made my coaching staff and I have an awful lot of fun working with them. The guys are very good friends on the court and off the court. We've been a very, very good offensive team, and we're an improving defensive team. The other day, we out-rebounded Pittsburgh. I believe it was like 40-22 or something like that.
By the way, Jim, I was going to ask you about that. I was going to ask you about both those things. Go back to your first point, though. When you saw the returning guys come together with the young guys, did you know right then and there? I mean, it's hard to say right then and there, but did you know right then and there you might have something special in the way that that group all came together?
Well, I knew we were going to have a very good team, but when you're in the ACC, everybody's got a really good team. And you don't know how the new players are going to blend with the returners, and you don't know what your competition is going to get from the transfer portal. We got 2 terrific transfers in Nigel Pack and Norchad Omier, but we just played Pittsburgh, and the winner going to be the co-champions with Virginia, and Pittsburgh has 5 transfers in their starting lineup. So, you know, the landscape of college basketball has changed dramatically, and you don't know who's going to be on your roster once the season's over and the transfer portal opens up.
It certainly is a fair point. It's a great point. Jim Larrañaga joining us. Jim, to your other point about out-rebounding Pittsburgh, actually, the numbers were, if I'm not mistaken, you out-rebounded them 42-20, 14 on the offensive glass. If I had said to you before that game that that's how that would go on the boards, what would you have said?
Oh, we're going to win. Yeah, you know, they crushed us on the boards at Pittsburgh earlier in the year. We lost by a couple of points. In that game, they scored 17 points off the offensive boards to our 0. So we made an emphasis. My coaches were on our guys. We must rebound the ball better the second time around. We certainly did that.
So what if I had also said to you, Jim, before that game that your leading scorer, Isaiah Wong, would make only 1 shot against Pittsburgh? Then what do you think your chances would have been against Pittsburgh?
I would have said impossible. First of all, he's an impossible guy to guard. He's an incredibly high-level scorer. He's an NBA talent, and he's very hard to slow down. The fact that he only scored 9 points with only 1 field goal, and yet we won the game, is really a testament to the total team effort that we've been getting all season long. It's either Isaiah leading us in scoring or Nigel Pack, Norchad Omier, and Jordan Miller, who I think is the most underrated player in the country. He's a fantastic all-around player. So we have a lot of guys who have led us in scoring. And on Saturday, it was Wolka Poplar, who has never led us in scoring, who had 18 points and played a spectacular game, making 6 threes.
Jim, he was awesome. He was absolutely awesome. Normally, he starts, he comes off the bench, and when you see a guy like this, at least from the outside looking in, my man looks like he can run and jump out of that building. How much of a lift did he provide off the bench with that exceptional energy and on both ends of the floor?
Yeah, Wolka Poplar is an NBA talent who is just figuring out the game. He's new to the game. He was a baseball player when he was young, switched to basketball in high school. You could see he was a diamond in the rough coming out of high school. Last year, he played sparingly for us. This year, he's improved dramatically. and he has a very, very bright future ahead of him.
So, Jim, I wonder, that was, and again, you've got a lot on your plate right now, but that was your 250th win at the U. I understand that those who are closest to you are probably more fixated on some of these milestones, some of these accomplishments, but 250 is a really nice number at a place that I have to think means so much to you. So what does that number represent, that you have 250 wins and that you got them there?
Well, throughout my career, I would tell you every win is because we had very good players. And here at the University of Miami for my 12 years, I can't tell you how proud I am of the great job my staff has done at recruiting players that I've really enjoyed being around. The players deserve all the credit. You can go back 10 years ago when we won the first ACC championship. Shane Larkin, Durant Scott, and those guys were terrific. And then we moved on to the Angel Rodriguez era. Those guys were great. When you have really good players, especially really good guards, like Angel Rodriguez and Sheldon McClellan, and then Bruce Brown and Lonnie Walker, and now we got Isaiah Wong and Nigel Pack and Wolka Poplar, you're going to be awfully good when your guards are that good.
So, Jim, isn't it, it's natural to try to compare this team to that team. These teams are very different. Of course, the one thread, you're right, come tournament time, you want good guard play. Everybody knows that. You have to have good guard play. How different, though, is this team than the one that won the conference back in 2012 and 13?
Well, the 2013 team was huge. We had Reggie Johnson, 6'10", 300 pounds, Kenny Kaji, 6'11", 270, Julian Gamble, 6'10", 260, Rafael Akabajuri, 6'10", 240. We had a gigantic front court that we could just rotate the big guys. We even had Tanya Jakiri, who was a freshman that year, who was 6'11", 215 pounds. So we could rotate the big guys and keep them fresh. This year, we're playing not just small ball, but smaller ball. Our starting lineup is 6 feet, 6'3", 6'4", 6'6", 6'7". That's a very unusual sized lineup and a team that can win the ACC. But my George Mason team in 2006 was about the same size, and they proved it's not about the height, but it's about the skills and the heart and the brains that you bring to the court every day.
I love that. So you're 16-1, 16-1 this season at home. Obviously, you've got a team that is really capable, as you just pointed out. But I think it also shows that you've got a community that loves and embraces the team and the program. At this point in your life, in your career, how gratifying is it to you, and how good does it feel to have that kind of fit, that kind of match, and the way they've embraced you and the team?
Well, when I first came here, Jim, they told me you'll never be able to draw a crowd. There's too much available to students. They're not going to come to the games. They go to the beach. They hang out. And so my staff and I went to work at improving that. In 16, 17, and 18, we had sellout crowds. And then this year, our spirit group called Category 5. We're the Hurricanes. Category 5 is the largest hurricane classification. And we brought those guys over, guys and gals, over to meet the players, have dinner with the players, and we asked them to recruit, try to get more students to come to the game. And they did a fantastic job of that. And we set records for student attendance. And once we got it going, the town of Coral Gables and the city of Miami embraced this team. They have enjoyed watching them grow and compete. And it was a sellout crowd on Saturday, and the fans rushed the court and helped us cut down the nets afterwards.
And look what's in front of you right now. So one final thought. You made that great run last year. I'm no bracketologist, Jim, but I'm going to assume that you're going to be a higher seed come Sunday when the brackets come out. Every year is obviously different, but how much will last year's experience in the postseason help this year's team?
Well, Jim, I would tell you, with last year's team, it's all about the matchups, the kind of defense the opponent plays, the size they have, what their strengths are, what their weaknesses are. With our team last year, we played a lot of teams that were very big that had a hard time matching up with our small team. So we beat Southern Cal and Auburn in the first two games because they just had a hard time guarding us. And then we beat Iowa State and then ran into a very big and talented Kansas team that we just couldn't handle David McCormick inside. He got us in tremendous foul trouble. So, so much will depend not on our seed, but who we match up with.
It is such a good answer, and it's so true, right? It is a game of matchups, always. Jim Larrañaga, my guest. Miami had a great year thus far, and they're getting ready for the tournament. Jim, great to have you on the show. Really appreciate it. Congrats so far on what you've done already this year, and I'm anxious to see how it plays out. Always good to talk to you, Jim. Thanks so much.
My pleasure, Jim.